This is Next Radio 2016 with Broadcast Bionics. Innovative solutions for creative people.
Hello, everyone. I hope you've had a good day, and thanks very much for having me today. So just a bit of background on me. I'm Chloe Straw. As Matt said, I'm an executive producer for Something Else, and I look after what's known as the BBC's Pop Music Hub. So we make a huge range of content at Something Else, but my primary focus is on the BBC. I think pop music is probably a bit of a sort of traditional word for it. So we make everything from Radio 1 Rock Show to Cyan Anderson on 1Extra to Trevor Nelson's Rhythm Nation on Radio 2. So the reason I want to talk to you about where data meets creativity is because it's something I'm really interested in. I'm not necessarily an expert in it. I know you've seen a load of experts today on all kinds of different data. But it's something I'm really interested in. I did a physics degree, so obviously really data focused. And now a lot of my day job is really creative. So I think it's something that's really interesting. And I think we hear a lot about data, but not necessarily how to use it. So first up, if I can make this work, this is what a data geek looks like. Although, I think a lot of the people you've seen today will prove that that's not what it is. But there you go, that's a common way that a data geek looks. And this is what a creative looks like. So for any of you who are creatives, I'm sure you spend your time standing in a field with lots of bubbles, trying to come up with ideas and dancing around. So when the two things meet, this is what often happens. And I will have an over-reliance on GIFs today, so I apologise in advance, but your head explodes, doesn't it? So the space between data and creativity, what happens there? Nothing. How do you get from one thing to the other? You don't know. And I'm sure many of you have found that someone gives you a load of data and says, right, take that data, come up with a creative idea, and this happened to you. So I think it's very common. I've just got to go back, sorry. So talking of data, in some ways, I would say we've reached peak data. You know, a lot of us work in radio and audio as a whole, and there's so much data out there, as you would have seen. You know, Brittany spoke about Spotify earlier. There's so much different research done there. Shazam, how popular is your track? How many times has it been Shazammed? Twitter and social media as a whole is a huge one in terms of engagement. How many followers do you have? Apple Music gives out less data, but it's still something that a lot of people, you know, hear. What's happening with Apple Music? What's the response to that? YouTube, how long do people watch your videos for and how many people watch them? And finally, our old friend radars, something we're all really familiar with and something a lot of us live or die by. So I'm going to give you 5 simple steps. I don't promise this to be the answer, but it should get you thinking, to take that data and move from there to a really good creative idea. So, number 1, look at the data. Another GIF. So I'm amazed by how privy people are to so much data, and they're almost scared of it. They don't look at it. And I think maybe that's because you worry that it will tell you something you don't want to hear. But if it tells you something you don't want to hear, then that's great, isn't it? Because then you can do something about it. You know, data is incredibly valuable. A lot of data costs a lot of money. I wish I was able to see more data when making programs. So look at it. Start to think about what does it mean, you know. If people aren't listening for long enough, it's something that we're really familiar with. Why is that? If your audience numbers are dropping for your program or for your station, why is that? And age demographic is a big one as well. Are they too old or too young? Just kind of a bit of water, sorry. I've picked out something awful from the children, so. So, look at the data is the first thing. It's a great thing to have. Put the data away is the second thing that you should do. It can be overwhelming. There's so much of it. What does it all mean? Take it all as huge input and then, you know, put it down, go for a walk. It can be useful in many ways, but it can also be not useful. And I'm really willing to be heckled about this, but radars, a lot of people are confused about what's the sample size? How do they get the data? Can anyone be asked to fill in an online diary? I don't know, because I've never been asked to do it, and I don't know if anyone here has been. So I think it's really good, you know, find out what you can from it, but then make sure that you really put it away. Sorry. Oh. Know your audience. This is slightly circular because a lot of stuff about your audience comes from data, but I think it really goes beyond that. I always like to think of your audience as a sort of little genie that's sitting on your shoulder, the good genie, obviously, telling you what to do. So any ideas that you have, anything that's starting to come to mind, think about who the audience are. And I don't think a good idea is a good idea because you think it's a good idea. It's a good idea because the audience think it's a good idea. So it's really, really important to know your audience inside and out. If it's not the audience you've got, it's the audience you want, then focus it on the audience that you want. Use your gut is number 4. So this might be a little bit counterintuitive about everything that I've been saying, but you're the experts, you know. This is your job, this is your role. You really, really know what you're doing, so use your gut. You've got all this amazing input in terms of all the data, ideas from other people, everything like that. What do you think's right? What do you think's the right thing to do? If you're starting to have a gem of an idea, then trust that idea and see what you can do with it. And put it in the melting pot. So unfortunately, I'm not going to give you the magic formula of how to come up with the most amazing idea, but do what you do. You know, I think there's the phrase that 99% of an idea is perspiration and 1% is inspiration. People that are really good at ideas are few and far between, and for everyone else, you have to really work at it. You know, I'm terrible at ideas and come out with really awful ones, but you just have to keep going with it and learn from that. Do what you do. Do you come up with ideas in the shower? Do you do it by yourself? Do you go for a walk? Do you do it in pairs? Everyone has different ways of doing it. And I think it's really important to say, don't be afraid. Like, there are so many crap ideas, but you just have to put them out there, see what happens. What's the worst thing that can happen? Everyone hates it and laughs at you. And then you pick yourself up and you come up with another one. And that's also a really good way of refining ideas. Come up with bad ideas, see what people do. Don't lose your confidence, and come up with more. So to finish, I just want to show you something that we made at something else recently. And in fact, the people that came up with the idea are up here, right at the top. So it's not one of mine. But I think this is a really good example of how you can take a load of different inputs and take a load of different data and use it to make something that's really successful. So this shows how the sort of journey from data to an idea isn't necessarily linear. This is an idea that we pitched to Radio 1 time and time again over the years in many different iterations, and it got knocked back a lot. And this time we finally got it right, and it had a load of different people involved in it. So people who knew about the Radio 1 audience, people who knew about data around festivals, people who knew about data around music trends. And this is what we came up with.
So it's my first time at the festival. What do I need to brace myself for?
Oh, man.
But you really up. You're gonna see things that you never thought you would see.
You see a lot of butthole.
Some of the craziest you will meet on the planet, and they are here today.
I'm Chris Stark, extreme festivaling at the gathering of the Juggalos. Woo woo!
Welcome to the gathering of the Juggalos. Much love, family. Welcome home.
And I love that, and it's brilliant, but it obviously took a lot of work and a lot of input, and I just think it's a great idea of when it works. So thank you very much.
This is Next Radio 2016 with Broadcast Bionics. Innovative solutions for creative people.